Thundercat works at Claire's, not clickbait.
Start your sublight engines. It's time for RuPaul's Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome to another week of chaos. My name is Claudia. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on social media at Kaludia Says, Kaludia Says. My gender this week, based on this week's episode of the Book of Boba Fett, it is Madame Garce's tits out look.
She was very Yasin Slay this episode.
She was so Yasin Slay, and I was extremely gay. So.
I hate to say, when I did see that out loud, I did say, she walked up in the first, it was, damn, look at her titties!
I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter at Kawaii Jessio. And my gender this week is Fennec. You know, Fennec at the end of the episode is just like, oh, you know, like money can get like buy you like more muscle or whatever the heck she said. I forget the phrasing, but you know, and everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be the Mandalorian book concept. Fennec comes back and is like, here's your muscle, and it's the thumbs from Spy Kids.
Get out!
I think the thumbs could be very strong and helpful and guard Boba's palace.
So I hate to say it, but I do believe Axe Woves is just a thumb.
No,
leave him alone. He isn't even here to defend himself.
Just so you guys can have a little information, while we watched the episode, the Mandalorian theme played at the end, and Mel was like, oh, what if Axe Woves shows up? And I'm like, why would Axe Woves of all people show up? And now I'm like, I hope Axe Woves shows up. Like, I've been converted.
For the listeners at home, would someone like to remind who Axe Woves is?
I would. I am an Axe Wove stan.
You have a thing about weird, obscure white man Mandalorians. It's Axe Woves and Femme Rao for you.
Those are my little weird white boys. I love them. So Axe Woves is the man. He is the he's the diversity hire among the Night Owls. In the Mandalorian, there's Casca, Bo, and then there's that dude who's only in that one episode. And then in the finale, he's somehow gone. My theory is he was in the shitter in the cantina and they just left him. They just forgot him. So they just left him on that planet. So I think that he was left behind and it's like, I don't know what to do with my life, so I'm going to become a bounty hunter. And then Fennec Shand, for whatever reason, added him on LinkedIn and is like, hey, would you like some money? Come work for us.
My name is Noah. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on TikTok at the Jewish Jedi. And my gender this week is Robo IBS Warrior Fennec Shand. I'm sorry. I know, like, I don't think you're going to have IBS if you don't have a digestive tract, but, like, it was really funny to think about.
No, because here's the funny thing. Literally, as soon as she got that, my first thought was, wow, she probably won't have any issues with, like, digestion or anything. And I'm like, why is that where my head is?
But this is just my main thought then, was fucking Thundercat was like, hey, I gave you a new tummy, and Fennec is like passed out or whatever, and Boba's like, so you're gonna close that up? And Thundercat's like, no, like, it's so beautiful, why would I cover it up? Because you live on fucking Tatooine, dog.
There's sand everywhere, you're gonna ruin that.
Hello, my name is Mel. I use they them pronouns. You can find me on social media at Melvin Culpa. And my gender this week is craving melon. Did no one else remember that part in the episode?
That was
No, I remembered it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very funny.
I did make the commentary that it's like, have this like herbal tea. This is a thing that my ethnic family does, of like, here, have this random herbal tea that is supposed to make you feel better but tastes like shit. And you know what? You'll come to love it. That was exactly what he did to Fennec, and I thought that was very awesome. Slay.
Hi. My name is Ollie. I use any pronouns. You can find me on social media at Ollie Fresh. It's fresh with a PH. And my gender this week is actually a tweet that is from at Charles Soule, one of the authors of the High Republic. And his tweet reads, it's kind of a shame we already have a droid named Chopper, about the kitchen droid that was chopping the vegetables.
You bring up the kitchen droid, and I guess we can also start talking about the episode. That droid was the chef, and I just want to say that the chef, like the lead chef of a kitchen, would not be like cutting up like stuff that would go to like one of the other like one of the other chefs. Maybe
Well,
the
there
sous
was
chef.
a sous chef. There was
There
if you
was a
watch
sous
with-
chef, so I'm just like, why is the chef doing all the prep work? He's the chef.
I love Jess's Star Wars culinary school vibes.
Well, Jess, here's the question: is like maybe he started as the sous chef because like of his like special like all his like the chopping and he has like the many arms or whatever. But like maybe he got promoted because he was really good at his job, and so now like he still does it because he's specialized for that. But like he did get promoted to like head chef, and now there's another sous chef. Like that's just my thinking. Anyway, I'd like to propose Hell's Kitchen Tatooine edition.
I mean, they'd have to get a new chef droid because Fennec did like decapitate that one. So
Who's cooking now? That's the question. Is the Matt Berry torture droid doing all their cooking now? Because it seems like he's the only one they have.
Not Jackie Daytona.
I do like the idea that
the Gamorreans.
that's why they had to hire Black Chrysanthemum. They were like, the chef now is pretty good, but like Black Chrysanthemum, you seem like you have the vibes. Here's a knife. Do some chopping.
Yeah, Boba was like, okay, so you ripping the arm off of that Trandoshan was a litmus test to see, like, can you do that to, like, I don't know, a Star Wars chicken?
A pork?
You're hired. A pork? No!
Because Chewie does eat a pork!
Oh my
they
god!
do have other droids, like the one little fucked up guy that has the tiny head and like the big body. Gonna bring up the Bantha in the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, the Bantha. Yeah.
I miss you, girl. I think I just like Star Wars animals. They're fun little friends. I liked Boba's little bond with it. I saw, Claudia, you made a TikTok addressing people like being like, why is a bantha eating like whatever the fuck meat Boba was feeding it? Well, what else is it gonna eat? There's no plants on Tatooine. What you wanted to eat? Sand?
Oh,
You want the bantha to eat sand?
Okay, do we know what the diet of a bantha is? Because if banthas are carnivores, that's very scary.
So that's why people were arguing, because canonically, if you go on Wikipedia, I did look this up, they are herbivores, but then, which begs the question, the fuck are they eating? Because there's no fucking plants. So, you know, they're like, yeah, they're like elephants or like woolly mammoths, so I feel like maybe they evolved to be omnivores.
Not to be a biologist on Maine, but if I don't know. I think that banthas are sort of like those fucked up little dogs, like you can throw anything off the kitchen table and they'll eat it, whether or not they actually like it or not. And Boba may have just been like, I don't know what the fuck these eat, so I'm just gonna hand this off.
That's what I said. I said it was like our cat Arthur, who his favorite food is cheese, and I'm like, you are a cat. You are a cat. You are a carnivore. Like, but you open a cheese, and he's like, pay me tribute. That's Boba with the bantha. I think he's been feeding him scurrier rat the entire time. Those rats, they are called scurriers, by the way.
I enjoyed the part of the episode where Boba and Fennec have one of their many fireside conversations, like fucking FDR.
Not fireside chat. Wait, Boba becomes the mayor of Mos Espa and has his fireside hollows.
Oh,
I love the
my
idea
God.
of Boba Fett being like, and this is the new deal for bounty hunter.
I mean, was him sitting at that table not him trying to be like, please vote for the New Deal?
Not to be a musical theater person, but we're getting a New Deal for Life Day.
Oh my god, I love the Annie-fication of Boba Fett. The Rancor is Annie and Boba's Daddy Warbucks because he's bald.
No.
I like their little fireside chat because it starts with Boba offering her a rat to eat, and she's like, yeah, sure, and then sits down and eats it. This was a really good episode, I think. A marked improvement from last week's episode. Definitely feeling less rage about this one, which is fun.
I guess from like a broad perspective, I think the thing I liked most about this episode was I felt like it finally committed to a tone. And that's what was really failing for me in the last couple episodes, was like it wanted to be like comedic and kind of over the top, but it also wanted to be serious and dramatic. And like, you can be both of those things. I just don't think that the show was doing that in a way that I personally found very successful. And like the latter 2/3 of this episode really committed to a tone. And I feel like that's why I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that there's just been like a lack of cohesion between like especially the flashbacks in the present. Like I think episode 2 did it pretty well in terms of like these are both have humor and seriousness, but like episode 3, not only because of that part, but like just in general, it was like, what's happening here, girl? And this one finally felt like this is what's happening here.
I like when Star Wars or when anything works with what it has and doesn't keep making up new shit. And obviously by episode 4, that's a thing you should be doing. And I'm glad that they did that, where they were like, okay, this is what Boba cares about. He cares about the Tuskens. He cares about becoming a new person. And he cares about Fennec Shand, so we're going to show you why. And also he cares about his dad's Honda Civic, which he does have to go get. And he just want to say, go fuck the Sarlacc. He's like, I got some loose ends, and that's very powerful. But I did like that it was like, all right, we're going to focus on, here's the cards that we already know about Boba. There's one card of like him being a clone and like his past that I would like them to dig into more. But like we are finally addressing the cards that have already been dealt. And, you know, and I think we were all the ones saying, like, I hope our next episodes deal with Fennec. And they do. And I do love him being like, yeah, so you want to, like, come along with me? Like, I mean, you've repaid your debt, whatever. And she's like, you know what? This is kind of funky fresh. We'll see. I'm entertained. She's like, I'm entertained. So I love bestification via rat.
Is bestification like the plague? Is it contagious? No!
Yes, it is.
The bubonic plague is already a tag on Tumblr.
I will say, as a High Republic enjoyer, I will say that the vibes that Boba and Fennec give on a platonic level are very much so Tylara Yorick and Elzar Mann, where it's like fucked up little guy and girl boss. And like
completely agree.
Like so hyper competent. Like I think that Fennec is exactly the badass that a lot of Star Wars fans assumed that Boba was going to be in this show, which like also followed by, if you're disappointed by that, characters have this thing where it's development, and like Boba, I know divorced from like the Clone Wars, this might not make sense, but like had some trauma, wasn't dealing for it for about 13 years, and then decided to start dealing with it. So like he's turned a new leaf, and you're gonna have to get with the picture. If you want a badass, Fennec is literally right there.
I think the other thing about that is a lot of people look at the scene from The Mandalorian where Boba does a very good hit on all of the stormtroopers. And I think that there is a really distinct difference between that and other types of fighting that he's had to do. One is that was a pretty straightforward, like, okay, let's go kill a bunch of bitches, and I can use exactly what I learned from the Tuskens and what I already know to do it. A lot of other combat scenarios that have come up, like in the present not flashbacks, but like the present part of the show, have been very different. Like it's like, oh, a bunch of guys have some shields and I am not wearing my helmet or have any of my gear. Or like, oh, Black Chrysanthemum just pulled me out of a tub while I was actively asleep, and now I'm just naked and very wet. Like
naked and afraid.
Exactly. But it's, you know, like, and I think that there is a conversation that we can have about like, what is this situation with Boba, like physically, and like, why is he, I don't want to say so weak, because he's not weak, but like, why is he being ambushed so much, or why is he in that state at this current point versus in the flashbacks when clearly he's like a fighter? And I think that we can talk about like, oh, it's the stress of everything and it's all this, but I'd like to see them maybe dig into it a little, but it's really not an inconsistency. Like I think a lot of people are acting like it is.
I just want to say, like, to be fair, one of the reasons that I love Din Djarin and why I liked the first season of The Mandalorian, because they were like, yeah, he's such a badass. And then they spent like the first at least 4 episodes with him just getting his ass kicked. Like Din Djarin, he's just like, he's falling off the blurg. He gets his ass kicked by Jawas. It's funny. Like, and so the same stuff happens with Boba, but because Boba's a legacy character, people are like mad about it. And even in this episode, they say, okay, now you're fully healed, which like as a chronic illness warrior, I don't love that. But I will say this, I do love how they showed almost his skin kind of healing, even in the flashbacks, to which I say, unwhitewash the Bad Batch, why the fuck can't you do that with Echo? Anyways.
I'm really in love with the number of Tem shirt listings that we've gotten. That's been really fun for me. That said, I think that part of the reason that this show is so divisive in terms of like Boba's character is because it's drawn a much larger audience than most of the more recent Star Wars projects do, because I, to a certain extent, understand where people are coming from if the only Star Wars they've ever engaged with is like the original trilogy, because they have an image of this character that isn't really the character, but it's like their expectation of who Boba Fett is and what he does is really, really limited. And then you have people like, everyone on this podcast who's watched the Clone Wars and who's seen his expansion as a character over a longer period of time where this makes more sense. People are they project what they want onto this character. And I think it's combined with the fact that this show, walking into it, I mean, I for one had no idea what it was actually going to be about. So as a result, you have all these audience expectations about the show and the direction and the characters and like the story itself that aren't being met because they were never going to be met, but people don't know how to deal with that. So instead they're like, the writing is bad, the character sucks. And it's like, no, you just misunderstand what's happening.
Yeah, I will say that for someone who is touted to be such a badass and like, which granted, in the comics he's a little bit of a killing machine. Motherfucker does get bonked on the jetpack and then thrown into a pit and die. That is his main character beat in the original trilogy.
Han Solo wrecks his ass by accident.
And he's like half blind too when it happens.
Yeah, he fully did not have full capacity of vision.
The parts too in Cloud City, like when he does actually succeed in capturing Han Solo, most of the reason that he does that is because Darth Vader is there and all of Lando's guys are helping.
But Boba is somebody who's very good at his job, but who has been surrounded, who just like is just kind of a regular guy, and so like he doesn't have like the plot armor or the Force whatever helping him, so like bad shit happens to him sometimes, and he's like, yeah, sometimes I like, if you read the comics whatever, like he lost Han Solo a couple times before he delivered him.
Hey, I am so sorry to interrupt, but I do like the idea of Boba and Fennec talking, and he's like, hey, you remember the Jedi? I know you were like around, you were like old enough to remember the Jedi. And she's like, yeah, I was like a teenager when the Jedi were a thing. And he's like, remember Mace Windu? I almost killed that motherfucker. I crashed his entire Star Destroyer. And she's like, okay. And he's like, yeah. And I was like 12. And she's like, okay, Grandpa. Anyway.
I like the idea of her calling him Grandpa because she is older than him. Fully older than him. Like by at least 5 years.
Well, this was my thing, was that I was like, people were like, oh, the expectations. I was like, I love how Boba's like, I've lived a hard life and now I'm tired of that shit. I'm done. And he's gotten to the point where he's like, I'm getting too old for this shit. However, Fennec is technically older than me is so funny. So
yes, this is something I was talking about in our like episode 0 of Book of Boba Fett, just talking about Book of Boba Fett, Boba Fett's history of like Boba has been and Fennec have both been such alone characters who have not had like a community. And so the idea of this show being all about building a community and what it means to allow help from others, first of all, I'm feeling very vindicated. There's this entire like scene, once again, another hashtag fireside chat with Boba and Fennec. That was something I noticed with this episode. I was like, I get that you like need to communicate some things to your audience, and clearly they are not understanding because Twitter is the pits right now. So you do need to have a fireside chat to look in the camera and say,
one might say.
Not the Sarlessi.
Something up Sarlessi.
But basically, Fennec is like, the Tuscans made you soft. And he's like, you can only get so far without a tribe. They're literally saying, hey guys, I do need help. Fennec is so cooler and more epic than me. She's gonna help me. Thank you, teehee. And I'm feeling vindicated.
I would also like to say, I think the second largest problem for why so many angry white guys on the internet don't like this show,
and white women, I want to be clear, a lot of white women,
is that I don't think that white men who center themselves on like a piece of media are socialized to understand that weakness, like physically, is not actually universally a bad thing. Like, they see this character and he's like, oh, I've been harmed repeatedly over the course of my life and thus I am no longer capable of being the same person. And they're fully like, well, I think you should kill yourself. Like, they don't know how to engage with a story that isn't someone winning 100% of the time. And it's annoying and it's also bad. I'm like, I don't know. My thing is just like, do they know that nobody's making them watch the show? Like, if they don't want to watch it, they don't have to. And I'm not saying you can't criticize it because, like, I have things that I don't like about this show, but girly, y'all need to calm down a little bit.
I just wanted to say real quickly that their feelings about Boba is a lot like their feelings towards Luke in The Last Jedi.
So true, bestie.
Go
Oh my God,
off.
Jess, you've just like cracked the code.
You were talking about the like they can't stand somebody who's been like, yeah, the shit has kind of hit the fan in my life, and I think some things need to change. Especially Boba being like, working for people who want me dead sucks. And I'm like, so true, very based, sir. I love that. Unfortunately, he's not completely a comrade, but we can get into that. But I think they cannot wrap their little minds around that, and I think that's very powerful of him, and I just thought it was neat.
Something that I think also is sort of important to this story. We don't know the exact time, and I saw a tweet that put it really nicely, and I wish I could remember who it was, but it was saying like, how long was Boba with the Tuskens? And the person said like long enough to make an emotional impact to the story. So that's what matters, is that he was with them for a while.
I believe it
but
was
I think,
5 years. It was 5 years.
But here's the thing too, is I did also read, this might be legends, but I don't think so, that you can survive in the Sarlacc pit for like, you can be in the Sarlacc pit for like literal years and be alive. It's fucked up. But the thing is that like, Boba was with them not just for long enough for him to be like acclimated, but I think like he was with them for a while. Like he genuinely was a member of like, he was a member of the Tuskens. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm here, okay, goodbye. He was not just there for like, oh, I'm here for 10 minutes so that I can get my development. He was like, oh, I live with you guys and I break bread with you guys, and I'm a member of your family. And this is probably the first time he's ever really had like a family since Jango.
That is one big criticism, I think. Like the fact that people are like, okay, wait, how long was he, whatever. It's almost one reason why, and this is my criticism with many streaming shows or whatever, is like that I wish the show was a little longer. Number one, with the like cheesiness of not only Star Wars, but of this show, and of like, kind of that we're building out Tatooine as a world, whatever. I think like as almost like an episodic procedural, it would actually do quite well, but those kind of shows don't exist anymore. But I feel like you did not feel the amount of time he was with them. Like you can assume that if you think about it, because you're like, oh, these are flashbacks. Like obviously between that he was with them for some time, but you're like, the weight of 5 years on his life, you're like, whoa, like that's a lot. That like, that could have been like, I could have watched that and been like, that was 6 months. That 6 months or a month can change you as a person. 5 years, like I feel like it should have been a little bit more time, and I just wish the show was, I guess, a little longer in that sense. But take it up with the way that entertainment is structured.
The ideals of white supremacy are inherently antithetical to the concept of having a community to draw strength from. They are also antithetical to the idea of a lack of strength, and they're obsessed with making the facsimile of being strong. And I think that's, I don't want to say a reason, but I think it's a component to consider about why so many, in particularly white fans, are so bad at processing the narratives and themes of this show, is because white supremacist ideology doesn't know how to function with narratives about healing or about evolving or about having power and strength in a system that isn't based on violence. And I guess I find it interesting because those storytelling elements are not present here. Like this is very much, Boba is only able to heal and become a more whole person because he's not doing it by himself. And I see a lot of these people that are really upset about the show being like, he's supposed to be a nomad and like take care of it on his own terms. And it's like, yeah, you actually can't do that. Like healing yourself over a long period of time is not possible as a singular act. It requires support. And I feel like that's one of the things that makes it so hard for people to engage with the show properly, is they don't know how to think about healing that way.
I completely agree. There's that scene where Boba comes out of the Bacta and the droid is like, you're fully healed. And then Fennec immediately comes inside and says, but not on the inside. And
the way I said, I was like, he was like, you're fully healed. And I was like, yeah, but not on the inside. And then she said it. I was like, oh my God, so true.
which I don't know. There's something about the kinship between the two of them that is so powerful, regardless of what you feel about their relationship. It is just like, yay, lonely people, we win, we win.
Dang, the effects that rugged individualism has had on the way that people perceive things in general is so messed up. Like, how do you get this story about someone joining a community and being like, I'm learning to grow in a new way, and then being like, this is some bullshit. That's not my boba. I'm like, I hate to break this to you. He's growing. He's learning. He's changing. He's becoming a fully realized person.
Again, this is another point where I'm like, hey guys, a big thing that you all loved about The Mandalorian is something you're hating on this show for. Like, in The Mandalorian, we eventually learn about his past, but we meet him and he, like, you know, we start on his journey of growth, whatever, where he is building a community around him and his child, basically, and is realizing, oh, I can't be on my own. I need help. And is realizing, like, oh, I can't just be about the job. I am more, like, literally, it's the same story, and it's like, oh my God, wow, the Mandalorianness of it all. But no, I mean, it's the same story, and that was a thing that people really liked about The Mandalorian, so I'm like, so what's the difference here?
Yeah, horribly unrelated to that. I was just thinking, because Mel was like, no matter what you think about their relationship, this episode has begun converting me to the Bobenic agenda just because of the sheer, like, I don't even know what it is, but like, Mel, you reminded me of like that scene in particular where Fennec is like, but not really on the inside. And I was like, oh, wow, they're married actually. And they have been for years. Like, that's the vibe that they have, is like ideal married relationship.
No, they are the acceptable straights, because first of all, I don't think they're straight, but that's not a whole nother thing. But like, you kill Sarlacc with Bestie, and then you say, oh, I'll stick around for a bit. Hello?
I have said it once. I will say it again. I think that they can be the live action Chimera, because, and here's the other thing too, I think that a lot of people are very like set in their head canons about these two characters, and that's totally cool. Like, I'm not being like, how dare you think Fennec Shand is a lesbian? My solution for that, Boba Fett is non-binary, but we don't have to get into that. Other
lesbian Boba Fett?
That's what I'm fucking saying.
I'm gonna say that,
but I'm not
I hope
done with my point, Claudia. No.
I just wanted to say toxic YouTube.
Yeah.
Fight me.
Take that, Star Wars theory. That's my Star Wars theory.
But I also think something too that I said in like one of our first episodes talking about this show is that it's so rare that we see like interracial couples that are main characters, like two main characters who are both people of color in an interracial relationship. Like, that's not something that's super common, especially when those people are older than like 35. So seeing two people who are who are in their 60s, even though the characters are in their 40s, well, at least Boba is, like, it's really refreshing to see. And it's nice to see them have this open emotional connection, regardless of if you ship them or not. It's really cool to see characters have that sort of, you know, that foundational relationship. And I personally think it would be really cool if they kissed, but like, you know, that's just me. But I just like them together. I think they complement each other. And
I would like to say, if you're really set on Boba dating a man, we're a polycule channel. And I'm just saying, I believe in the Boba Din Fennec polycule as the truth of the universe.
100%.
Din is going to show up next episode, and then they're going to be like, oh, the polycule, it's complete. Like,
this is the moment where he's gonna be like, why does Fennec call you baby girl? And Boba's like, okay, do you want to join our polycule?
I hate to be a romance enjoyer, but unfortunately I am. So that's my real complaint about Book of Boba Fett. No one has kissed yet, and that is honestly taking it down a level.
Shout out to my friend who very much listens to this podcast, who messaged me and was like, you know, I'm not a Bobanic shipper, but now I kind of see it. And it was the line when he's like, I need brains and brawn, and then looks straight at her, and I was like, did a woman write this? Damn, that was very attractive.
Also followed by the part where he's like, you are my equal and we are partners in this, and I will protect you. I will lay down my life for yours. I was about to say that's gay, but it's by definition.
No, that's what, okay,
in my heart
it is. that's what it is about that, is it does feel like two queer people in a relationship. Because if you have two straight people, I mean, listen, I'm not straight. I can't speak on behalf of the straight community.
You're so brave.
I know it's real. I'm really sorry to any of our straight audience out
Check
there.
your
I hope this
privilege,
isn't
Ollie.
offensive. But I mean, like, when in conventionally, like in a lot of conventional media, you don't see those sorts of confessions between like a straight couple. But I'm so like that interaction just feels very, it's got a little additional flavor. So I'm just like maybe it's because I'm so used to seeing characters written to be friends, and I'm like, that's gay. So now that when I see characters that are written as friends who are a man and a woman, I'm like, is that gay or am I? Anyway, I think they're both queer and in love.
They are the first set of people that if they approached me in a bar and said, hey, we liked your vibe, do you want to be our third? I would say yes without hesitation. I would not even consider.
That's
I would
literally
just
what
do
they're
it.
doing to Din.
Okay, so I'm not saying that Cobb Vanth is going to be in this show. However, I want him
Noah,
to show up and join their polycule.
I have news. There is already so much fan fiction of that and art.
I think your first date being, hey, can you help me go kill Lasar Lussi and then go steal my dad's car? I think that's very
No,
romantic.
they steal his dad's car first, and then they kill a biker gang.
Even
and
more
then
romantic.
Yeah.
I think what's even more romantic is your first date being like, hey, do you want to go meet Thundercat with me?
Yeah, I was about to say, POV,
She
you're
didn't even
saved
get
from
to
death.
meet him. She was unconscious.
Damn it. I like the idea of her being a huge fan and like wakes up and is like, was that Thundercat?
Did you go get me tummy surgery at Claire's? And Thundercat was the employee at the Claire's.
I have been thinking a little bit more about the gentrification squad and the people who get body modifications on Tatooine. And I'm thinking about like, just because it's an impoverished place doesn't mean that they can't do that. In the same way that like people are like, you're poor, why do you have tattoos? But like also there is like a whole other level of like, but they are getting what I would assume are very expensive body modification. Like what are the logistics there? I don't know how to navigate
One
that.
of the mod people from like last episode, he did like, you know, the eye guy, and Bo was like, keep an eye out, and then he's like, oh, sorry, because he realized he's like, wait, this guy has like a droid eye, and he's just like, it's okay, I spent a lot of money on this. So
The vibe in that parlor with Thundercat was very much like a tattoo parlor. And he was like, do you have an appointment? I am literally a professional. And and he was like, no, she's literally dying.
So it's like if a tattoo parlor was also a hospital is what I'm hearing.
I think, okay, I am just imagining being like, like you're doing a tattoo and someone comes in and is like, quick, we need someone has to give needle surgery to this person. And they're
I'm
like,
in love
it's
with
all
the
right, move
concept.
out of the way.
No,
I'm in love with the concept of being in a hospital, coming in and being like, help, I needed appendicitis, but also I really would love some flowers on my shoulder if you had a second while we're here. I know it's a little bit unorthodox, but
Well, I mean, it's obviously it's not one-to-one, but like when we were talking about the classism part of whatever, it was like, poor people do get tattoos. They save up for things because
They deserve nice things.
Because they deserve nice things. And I would be very interesting to know. I mean, I do know, like, canon-wise, at this point, post-Empire, especially if you know a little bit about what Lando was getting up to and, like, how he started to make his money legitimately, was getting into, like, droid manufacturing and stuff once, you know, other than being, like, the Cloud City or whatever. And I think, like, the mass production of basically droid parts that you can have as as a funky little thing, like maybe that's kind of a thing that people can afford as something, you know, funky and fresh for themselves.
And it's something I'm just curious about because like it feels like for a lot of people they were like voluntary body modifications, but for Fennec, she didn't consent to that. She was just like, I'm dying. And he's like, now you have robo tummy. Like what?
also, not to bring this back, you know, we touched a bit on this earlier. I'm confused at like why they're having like body mods on Tatooine. Like there's so much sand, besties. Is the sand getting into your little droid parts? What's going on?
In terms of hygiene, in terms of like a safe and clean space for like let's say an amputee's like arm. Tattooing does not seem ideal in terms of like getting that shit adjusted on and like making sure that there's not sand in between your. Why did I almost say appendectomy? Joints. I'm having an issue.
You don't want to get sand in your appendectomy.
I mean, that's true too.
Not to talk about another piece of media, but I will say a piece of media that does cover this and has.
We're getting back to our roots, guys.
No, that has a lot of like poorer people who have body modifications in a world that also has magic, but they are not magical people. I'd like to talk about Full Metal Alchemist because in that, number one, they have somebody who's a mechanic, and then they have somebody who has high impact stuff with a prosthetic, and then has a lot of problems when they go into an extreme environment of like cold or heat, or I don't know if Edward ever deals with sand. I don't remember, but like, and it fucks up the whole thing. So anyways, if you enjoy this topic, go watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If Fennec Shan is Edward Elric, not clickbait.
Oh my god, Black Chrysanthemum can be her brother or whatever.
Speaking of Black Chrysanthemum, I think what has occurred to me is that he has like a permanent furrowed brow, and I am obsessed with that. I don't know what it was about this episode in particular. I was like, that wasn't just you being like, that just your face, dog.
No, Mel did while we were watching the episode, or maybe right after, look up the actor who plays Black Chrysanthemum, looked at his eyes and said, that's Black Chrysanthemum. That's absolutely him. That's his eyes.
Wait, can we do a quick like real-time reaction? I'm going to send you a picture of the actor who plays Black Chrysanthemum.
Damn!
That is him. Holy shit.
He does have kind of a raised eyebrow where he's like,
I didn't know that you could have perfect casting for a Wookiee character, but they did it. Like,
his eyes are just so expressive. I'm like, holy shit.
I will say, I don't know if it was this episode or the one previously where there was kind of a shot where Black Chrysanthemum like looks into the camera, like kind of like looks over his shoulder into the camera. That now that I am reading a lot of the comics, I mean, I had met Black Chrysanthemum before, but reading a lot of, I was like, this is
Black Chrysanthemum? You met him?
Yeah, I've met him actually.
He's actually Claudia's uncle.
Yeah, at Claire's. They met at Claire's.
Yeah, we met at Claire's. No, he like looks over his shoulder into the camera, and the shot like looks directly like a comic panel, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's kind of cool. I like that. Anyway, I love cinematography. But also, I believe this is the first time, unless it happens in Solo, where we've seen a Wookiee actually rip someone's arms off.
Mel, you've seen Solo a couple times, right?
I think once or twice I've seen Solo. I do think this is the first time we see a Wookiee rip someone's arms off. The way that I did say, oh, just like Skier High Republic, when Trandoshan got his arm ripped off.
I know. That's like whenever we hear see the Trandoshans, I'm always like, on a scale from Bosk to Skier, where are we? Like, what's the vibe?
Chainbreaker.
Sid.
So true.
Where is the Chainbreaker? I want her to show up, please.
Why isn't Sid in the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, everyone's talking about Osing Omega.
I do.
What if when Fennec's like credits can buy muscle, Boba pays Sid?
Okay, what I was unironically thinking that I did say that I think would be very funny is the oldest fuck Bad Batch shows up to help fight. And it's like, Boba's like, you brought my geriatric brothers here to fight. Like, are you kidding? And Omega's standing there like looking exactly like Boba Fett, but with a blonde wig. And it's just like, yeah.
Episode 5, The War with Grandpa.
Back to Black Chrysanthemum. I was like, good for you, bro, when he ripped that Trandoshan. I can speak words. That Trandoshan's arm off.
I do wish they had addressed the like historical beef between Trandoshans and Wookiee. I mean, in this they were like, oh, Black Chrysanthemum is just an angry little guy who likes to start fights with people in bars, but like, why is he specifically angry at Trandoshans? I'm like, we as deep cut Star Wars fans know that like Wookiees fucking hate Trandoshans because they hunt them for sport. But like the average viewer does not know that. I do wish they had addressed that in any way. And I believe Black Chrysanthemum also was like exiled from Kashyyyk as well in some way, shape, or form. But still, I would have liked them to address that.
I was kind of in love with Garsa Fwip trying to be like, you don't have to do this, okay? Like, it's not the vibe. Stop. Like
She
that's
said
where she was.
She's
But I
like,
love-
chrysanthemum, stop. This isn't
Literally.
you.
She did call him Santa, which I thought was
she
very
called him
funny.
Santa.
Okay, but what I loved about that scene most of all is that when he does it, her expression is very like, oh well. Like I
go
gave her my
back.
best shot, but like hit it,
I
Max.
only
Like
got the
that was
best
great.
line. Hit it, Max.
Who's saying "Hit It, Max" was the Star Wars equivalent of Alexa play the Mandalorian theme.
Max, play Despacito.
I liked when Chrysanthemum first was fucking all the Trandoshans up too, and Boba walked in and that guy gets thrown, and Boba's just like,
I just know that Garza Whip would rule at Euphoria High. Like she would school those girlies.
Okay, is the sanctuary not Euphoria High?
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Did you guys see Zendaya and Hunter Schafer in the background of that? That was crazy.
Yeah, they were being epic.
I would love to see Garza Fwip be besties with Boba Fett. Like, I love the dynamic they have where he just shows up and she's like, are you here for a reason? And he's like, not really. And then leaves. Like, that was what their interaction. And I love, like, she's just there to serve cunt. And then, like, they go and they're like,
That's
are
it.
you still being sexy? And she's like, I am. And they're like, okay, goodbye. Like, that is what she does. And I love that.
He
We
showed
need
up.
more characters like that.
He showed up and he was like, everything good here? And she was like, my titties have this handled. And he was like, they sure do. Anyway.
I do also love the fact that she wasn't even like, hey, don't kill this Trandoshan or rip his arms off because like he's a pal or whatever. She literally is like, you'd really kill the vibe in my bar if you were to tear someone in half. And he's like, and I respect that, but fuck this guy in particular.
I did enjoy at the end of this. Something I had been kind of worried about with the show was that like we were really gonna get into Godfather territory of like gritty mafioso Boba Fett, and like so far it has been like a single dad who works one job,
Who doesn't have a kid?
but maybe like the little two Gamorreans are like his children.
and his Rancor.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
That's
pet
Rancor.
dad.
The
Oh,
Rancor was cool. Actually, that was one of my favorite shots in the whole episode, when the Rancor like reached up through the fucking grate and was like, hey, I can eat you.
That was
He's like, Dad, can I have some ribs? And Boba's like, yeah, here you go.
I
The
do
Ran-
love the Reba McEntireification of Boba Fett.
I also like feeding the dog at the table Boba Fett. That was very sweet.
Boba's like, oh my God, Boba's like the dad who's like, I don't want a dog. I don't want a dog. And then they get the dog and then he's like, makes the dog like dinner and sits at the table.
I hate to say it, that is kind of Fennec Shand to Boba Fett. She's like, I don't want to do this. Damn it. You've charmed me, I guess.
This is a show about everyone accidentally making close, deep emotional connections. And I love that. Where's Danny Trejo? Oh, also, there's one more thing there's one more thing I wanted to say about the Gamorreans before we moved on. When we saw the flashback to when it was still Jabba's or Bib Fortuna's palace or whatever the fuck, they had like shirts and pants on. So I love the idea. And when they showed up to meet Boba Fett, they were like already a bit more lewd.
yeah.
So my question is, what I like is that Bib Fortuna was very conservative and was like, you guys have to dress whatever. So then Bib Fortuna is gone, whatever.
No
They run
shirts, no shoes.
Yeah,
no
no,
working in my palace.
now they're like, okay, we can be who we want. The Gamorreans are going to Euphoria High. And then they came back and Boba was like, cool. Boba's palace is the Euphoria High of Star Wars. So Euphoria is a show about a bunch of teens who have issues, maybe. I've never seen it, but it's about a bunch of teens who are kind of going through it. But everyone at this school dresses like to the nines, like crazy. But there's also a meme on TikTok and on other social medias I've seen, but mostly TikTok, where people will be like, me going to Euphoria High School, and they'll show up in something really over the top or skimpy or crazy that obviously would never wear to school. So I think the idea of the Gamorreans being like, I'm going to Euphoria High School and showing up in their little like thongs, I think that's very funny.
I love the Gamorreans showing up to Boba's palace with a purse that is so small you literally couldn't carry a pencil in it. And they're like, hey, did you guys study for the test this week? Yeah, I didn't go to class. I don't know what we're doing.
They're getting homeschooled.
Euphoria High School being a homeschool is so deeply troubling to me.
This is not a Euphoria
I'm
house.
sorry.
This is a Euphoria home.
Black Chrysanthemum joining Boba's palace tracks because I think Black Chrysanthemum would go to for Euphoria High.
Okay.
Okay, next season, next episode of Euphoria. I know Nate's dad was eating someone's ass last episode. No, episode whatever number it is opens. Black Chrysanthemum is just sitting in a biology classroom.
The Gamorreans.
You think they have biology at Euphoria High?
No, you're right. That does feel like a school that is just funding their football stadium, and that is it.
I think there are
I
any
would like to
teachers at
propose-
Euphoria High.
Yeah, I would like to propose though, like Black Chrysanthemum goes and they give him that like white boy of the month haircut that's like kind of a middle part. Yeah, final thoughts. This episode was a huge upswing for me in terms of actually liking the show. There were still parts of it that I didn't like, and I wish it would stop trying to be campy in its more comedic bits because those really fall flat for me. But like overall, this was a much stronger episode than episode 3. To be fair, the bar was in hell, but like even if the bar wasn't in hell, I still would have really enjoyed the story that this episode had to tell. And I'm actually now excited to see where the rest of it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's weird is that episode 3 did just kind of get soured for me. So even the parts that were okay, like I just felt like episode 3 was not super strong, but we're not here to talk about that. I think episodes 1, 2, and 4, I really enjoyed. I think if they keep with the vibe they have now, it'll be a good show. I like to see like, this is an issue that I tend to have a lot of the time is I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the origin story, but I really liked the flashbacks. But I'm also kind of excited to see now we're going to get into the meat of the plot. Because it seems like for the most part, the flashbacks are kind of like over, or at least when they go back, it's going to be something a little different. The Pike Syndicate is clearly amassing an army on Tatooine. And my question is kind of what are the syndicates doing now between the fall of the Empire? And I know that there's like lore in the comics and stuff about it, but I'm really interested to see like kind of like what organized crime is like, because we get a lot of like, oh, there's organized crime here in Star Wars, but we don't get a lot of like, here's actual organized crime stuff. Like I think the closest thing we've gotten to that in live action is like Solo. So I'm really excited to kind of see. And I do still think that the Pikes are going to get defeated in like either the second to last episode or the beginning of the last episode. And then Crimson Dawn is going to be like, hey, it was actually us, sillies.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, even not knowing all of the comic stuff, and I've talked to people who've read all the comic stuff, some people were like, hey, like, weren't all the Hutts killed by, like, Vader or whatever? And people were like, yeah, most of the Hutt leadership, but obviously there are other Hutts in the family who are alive. Clearly, that's why we've seen one. And also Rada, I believe he's alive. My theory was that, like, Fennec in this episode pretty much says is, like, Tuskens are pretty badass. They wouldn't get defeated by some fucking biker gang. And then Boba's like, shit, you're right. I think that after that, he's like, I need some brains around here because you're my brain cell. There's that, and basically they imply that the biker gang is being, I don't know, helped, funded, whatever, by the Pikes. And my question was, I feel this is my little conspiracy theory, is that it is a bit of a Game of Thrones situation where literally at the beginning of the show,
Emilia Clarke is there?
Yeah. At the beginning of the show, they have a thing where somebody comes up to Boba and is like, well, nobody really respects you. And I thought to myself, I went, if Jabba was killed in a passion and was replaced by, like, his little guy, Bib Fortuna, what would make people respect Bib Fortuna? And then I thought to myself, what if the Empire is collapsing and that's when Bib Fortuna comes into power briefly, not briefly, I guess it's like 5 years, and he doesn't have the entire structure of the Hutts behind him. He doesn't have the support. He doesn't have the family, you know what I mean? And my question was like, number one, why would the Pikes give that much of a shit about Tatooine? And number two, how would they be so entrenched at this point? Clearly they've been here for quite some time. And they're like, yeah, they've like taken over. So my theory is that Bib Fortuna was working for, also people have been talking about the term daimyo and how if you're talking about like feudal Japan, like that is someone serving a higher lord, and usually you think like, oh, that's Jabba who's serving the Hutt Council. But I'm thinking like, maybe for Bib Fortuna it was serving someone else. And so my theory is that Bib Fortuna was being either helped or paying tribute to Crimson Dawn, as the Pikes are, and that's how they're so entrenched there. And then I do believe what Ollie said, that it's gonna be like, we did it, we saved the city, Patrick, and then Amelia Clark is gonna be like, hey. So
this was not episode 3, and that was good. I enjoyed this. I know I'll be finishing at least this series.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. It was better than last week's episode. We're not here to talk about last week, but I did enjoy this. I do enjoy the spy kidsification of Star Wars. I can't wait for Robert Rodriguez to confirm that Spy Kids and Star Wars do take place in the same universe, and that Danny Trejo is still just Machete, but he's in Star Wars now. Everyone was very hyped up about the little Mando theme at the end of the episode, implying that maybe we'll see our bestie Din Djarin. But I'm also just thinking about how the little fun music moments of hearing Fennec's theme when she first wakes up with the body mod or whatever, and then also her theme from the Bad Batch, like when they're breaking into the palace. So it's just like a music moment. Love you. Clone Watch, there was no clones. Sorry if you follow my TikTok. I don't feel like making content right now. Teehee.
Hearing one note of Din Djarin's music did make me feel insane, and I did become the Joker. And I've been reading a lot of Star Wars and having a really good time with it, and I did remember, I really love Star Wars, when I was reminded that Din Djarin does exist and I may see him on screen. So I apologize for the person that I'm going to become.
Do we think it is going to be Din? Because part of me thinks it might be his covert. Because they...
Oh, yeah,
they're
that'd be
dead.
fun.
Are they all dead?
You don't know if they're dead.
No.
They might have just taken off their armor.
They're dead!
So a lot of them are dead. We don't know if all of them are dead, but we know a lot of them are
They wouldn't
dead.
play the music for his covert. Like, they played the music twice for him.
The idea of them hiring Pelly and her fucking pit droid.
She walks down the street and is like, hey guys.
Fennec did mention, or I think it was Boba, or who was like, oh yeah, like in Mos Eisley they have really good, or Fennec who was like, yeah, I mean in Mos Eisley they have really good mechanics. Fennec Pelly moment?
Pit droid
friends.
with a Glock. Welcome to Fancastic. Fancastic is a segment wherein I have searched the internet for some of the best and, frankly, most of the time, the worst fan casts. Basically, I'm going to name an actor, and my co-hosts are going to have to guess what character they have been fan casted for. Sometimes it's more than one. We'll get there when we get there. Are you all ready? We're starting it off fun today. Danny DeVito.
Yoda.
No.
So, are they a human?
No.
Well, you got me.
C-3PO?
Not 3PO. I do think he would body this role.
Wait,
Oh.
so are they force sensitive?
Not to my knowledge.
Are they a droid?
No.
What era?
The prequel Clone War era?
They're non-human, right?
Yes.
And they're not a droid?
Is it that little
Not a
dude
droid.
from the Citadel arc?
Not...
Okay, is it the guy from the
No.
droid Suicide Squad arc?
No, that is a very good idea, though.
Hondo
Jarl
Anaka?
Poof.
No.
I was gonna say Jarl Poof.
Yariel, guys, first of all, his name is pronounced Yariel. So, okay. Is this person in the movies?
No.
Okay, so are they in Clone Wars?
Yes.
Okay, they're non-human in Clone Wars. Are they like an important character in Clone Wars, or are they maybe in like a couple episodes?
They're
or
in
just
maybe
one?
I think they're in 3 episodes total.
Okay, like an arc, or are
I
they
don't-
recurring?
I don't think it's an arc. I think there's one episode for sure that's like a story. They're kind of like whether they're a main character. Maybe, yeah, I want to say it's 3 episodes that they're in. One of those episodes not being in the same like story arc.
Are they a bounty hunter?
No.
Are they a senator?
No.
General Grievous.
No. Okay.
I think
once
Lucas
again,
was
you
in
have to-
more than 3 episodes of the Clone
yeah,
Wars.
more than 3 episodes, and also could be played by Danny DeVito.
Short and...
I mean,
Who's
I
who
never
are the
said short.
kings?
I never said short is the thing.
Is it the detective guy?
It is not Tan
No,
Devo.
it's
That
not
would be
Tan
very
Devo.
good, though. I will say this. This character is non-human and has had an interaction with the Jedi that it was not positive. I do believe they are killed in an episode also.
Oh. Killed by a Jedi?
No.
Oh, so they have an Okay, is this like, are they like poised as a villain? Like, are they
Yes.
an enemy? Okay.
Is it one of the Toydarians?
No, it is not, but I like where your head is at. Think about the villains that we know in, like, even the Book of Boba Fett. There's a character of this species.
Are they an Aqualish?
No, they are not an Aqualish.
Oh my
Are-
god,
oh, is
are they
it,
Pikes?
No, it's not a
No,
pike.
is it a Trandoshan?
No, it is not a Trandoshan. You are so close. You're
Oh
getting
my
closer,
God.
though.
That dog-looking guy?
No, not the dog-looking motherfucker. There are 2 of them in this show, in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my God, are they? Is it?
It's a
Is
hut.
it a Gamorrean?
It is a
Zero?
hut.
Is it Zero?
It is Zero the Hut.
Oh my god, okay,
Oh,
Danny
that is-
DeVito would actually
Hey.
body that role.
Yeah,
I so
exactly.
agree.
Okay,
I hope
I
Zero...
listen. I'm so sorry. I have to hard disagree with Danny DeVito would be good as Zero. I think in the Clone Wars movie, there's a lot of parts that I love Danny DeVito, but I don't think he has the sensual energy that Zero has.
How dare you?
How dare what?
How
How
dare
dare me? You think? Listen, I think Danny DeVito could play funny. I don't think he could. I don't think he could play like sexy. And I'm not saying
Fuck Zero the Hut.
No, but I think Zero has a certain air about
Pack
him.
it up, size
Can we move to
noodles.
the next one?
Yeah, anyways, next one. This is a series of actors. Vin Diesel and Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody, for context, I'm trying to think of his most famous role. What I know him from is Grand Budapest Hotel, which I know is not everyone else's baseline. He's just like a little white boy of the month. And then Vin Diesel for the same role.
He was in the Pianist, right? That movie about like Nazi Germany.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, is this a Clone Wars or Rebels character, or is this a movies character?
He
Clone
was
Wars.
the pianist.
Clone Wars?
Clone Wars.
Oh,
And
so
also
it's
one
Is
other
it a
thing.
Jedi?
No,
Fen Rao?
not Fen Rao. I wish it was
Ben
Fen
Rao
Rao.
is not in the Clone Wars.
Oh,
My
I
favorite Clone Wars character, Fen Rao.
Okay, so it's not a Jedi. Are they force sensitive at all?
No.
Are they a bounty hunter?
Yes.
Is it
Rocco
Embo?
Hardeen.
Not
Cad
Rocco
Bane.
Hardeen. Yes, Cad
Okay.
Bane.
No!
Okay, actually though, Adrian Brody could body Rocco Hardeen. Now that I'm thinking about it, he could do that.
I find him okay. Wait, because that also implicates Vin Diesel as Cad Bane, which is
Yeah, I feel like y'all were not focusing on Vin
Yeah,
Diesel.
that is. I simply
Vin
chose not
Diesel?
to.
Holy shit! No,
Vin, that is-
imagine
That's a bad casting.
Imagine Cad Bane in the Fast and the Furious movies.
He would never say it's about family. Are you joking me?
Two Cad, two Bane.
Next one. This is 3 actors. Matt Smith, aka what was that? The 11th Doctor.
someone.
Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man, and Orlando Bloom
Okay.
from Lord of the Rings.
Darth
Are they a
Plagueis
Je-
the Wise.
Are they?
No.
Plagueis? No.
Plagueis?
Claudia, did you just say Darth Plagueis?
That's not what I said.
What did you
That is
say?
what you said.
Darth
You
Plagueis
said
the
Darth
Wise.
Darth Plagueis.
Isn't it Darth? Is it not?
Ages.
Yeah. or Darth-
Plagueis?
It's... I'm going to go
Did
watch
you
it.
watch Revenge of the Sith?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
in a
Did you
galaxy
guys
far,
have-
far away.
Anyway,
Claudia's
are
a
they
fake
a
Star Wars.
Jedi?
They are not a Jedi.
Are they force sensitive at
No.
all?
No, and I
I'm
will
so
give.
sorry. Can you say the actors again? I totally
Yeah.
forgot. Oh, it's
Matt.
Tobey Maguire, Matt Smith, and Orlando Bloom.
Yes.
Okay. So they're not.
Rush Clovis?
Yes. What the fuck? How did you do that?
I don't know.
Tobey Maguire as Rush Clovis.
Get Tobey Maguire away from Rush Clovis.
Orlando Bloom, get away from her.
That
Matt
is-
Smith as Rush Clovis is actually
Okay,
very funny though.
I
Not-
got-
I gotta fucking chill up my spine
No,
when
but
you
here's-
guess that immediately.
Here's the thing. In Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is one of the best Pride and Prejudice adaptations, no joke. Matt Smith plays Mr. Collins in that, who's a very Rush Clovis kind of character, and that's why I thought of it.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well,
Tobey
next one.
Maguire would never.
This next one is a series of actors. Jensen Ackles, Idris Elba, and John Hamm.
What the fuck? Is that Loden Greatstone?
No, it is not Loden.
Jensen Ackles is loaded great story. Are you kidding me?
It's cursed. I don't know.
Okay, wait. So are they in
we gotta
like,
go. We
live
gotta go fight the
action
Naihu.
at all, or are they only in the animated stuff?
This character is in live action and animated.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No. but you're on the right track in terms of
Anakin?
caliber.
Qui-Gon?
No.
Not a Jedi? Sith?
Not a Jedi, not a Sith. But like on in the terms of like caliber of like
Han
main
Solo.
characterness. Not Han Solo.
Chewbacca?
No.
John Hamm.
I mean, he's really tall.
Lando.
Not Lando.
John
Jensen Ackles is Lando Calrissian.
John Hamm.
Okay.
Lando.
Is this person so this person's in the movies and is a main character in the movies?
I wouldn't call him a main character in the movies, but he is in the movies.
Boggle the Lesser.
He's not
Bail
Boggle the freaking
Organa.
Lesser. Not Bale.
A character, are they a character like that is in the movies a similar amount to Bale, where it's like he's kind of there and he's like in the animated shows, but he's never like a super main character?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say it is more recently that he has come to more of a more renowned status.
Why was my first thought Wedge Antilles?
Saw Gerrera.
No.
Okay,
I'm just
Jensen
spitting out
Ackles
cursing.
as Saw Gerrera.
This is how we make Rex on Destiel too.
I hate this.
Okay. Is this character, have they ever appeared in a video game?
Yes, they have.
Are they in like a game like Battlefront 2, or are they like a character? In a
I do
game?
think they are in Battlefront.
Okay. Are they
Luke
in?
Skywalker?
No.
Oh my god, it's Iden Versio.
No.
Wait, is this person a Jedi?
No.
So are they? Is it Bosk?
No, but you are really close.
Wait,
Is
so
it Dengar?
Is
No.
it human?
Yes.
Oh.
Is it Boba Fett?
Yes, it is Boba Fett.
John Hamm.
Jensen Ackles as Boba Fett?
I'm sorry. I don't know why this is the hill I'm dying on, but John Hamm. Can you guys picture John Hamm in his little madman outfit? Being like, hey, it's me, Boba Fett.
Is that what you think John Hamm sounds like? Hey guys, it's me, John Hamm.
No, I can't deal with this. Also, y'all guessing Saw Gerrera, John Hamm.
You're like
Sorry,
a siren.
can't
Like
do
you're
it.
you're like weeping like he's your husband who died in the war.
Okay,
John
wait,
Hamm.
so did you have one more like
Yes,
final like
this is the finale.
What could
Are
be
you
worse
ready?
than that?
I wouldn't even say that this is worse. Are you ready? I feel like this motherfucker comes up like every week.
Okay.
Taika Waititi.
Thrawn.
No, but he is in that term, like
Stop.
in terms of caliber of character, importance in our hearts. Yes,
He could be. I think he could be Thrawn.
he would body
Taika
Thrawn.
Waititi as Thrawn is actually kind of
That
inspired.
one's kind of
Eli
slay.
Vanto?
Not Eli Vanto.
Is he
Is it a
okay?
character
Is
from
he
the Thrawn books?
No.
This is a character from books.
Yes.
High Republic?
Yes.
Great score.
Elzar Man.
No. What did you say, Jess?
Stellan Geos?
No.
Marciano.
Vitus.
Not Comac Vitus.
Is this
Cantum Psi?
Not Cantum
guys?
Psi.
We can't just keep guessing characters. We always do this. Is this like a Jedi?
No.
Is it Leox?
No.
Oh damn! Is it?
Marcian Rowe.
No.
Not Martian.
Are they a Nihil?
Panada?
No, they are not a Nihil.
Are they a good guy?
Yes.
Geode.
Yes!
I'm gonna lose my mind.
I like as Geo.
Okay. Oh yeah, because he played Korg in Marvel. He's played a rock character before.
Okay, but you know what though? I feel like Taika Waititi has I know we know him more from comedy, but I feel like he has the range to capture a character that's as like, as nuanced and serious as Geode can be.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he has the gravitas and the stoicism needed for for
Yeah,
Geo.
but he's
He can
also
play
again
a
like,
hoe, so
and he can bring that comedy. I think that he is perfect for that. That's actually a great casting.
I believe I saw that on Twitter. I can't remember for the life of me who tweeted that. I want to say it is our bestie Twitter user like MCU Waititi, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. I'm so sorry to whoever it was on Twitter who alluded to the idea of Taika Waititi as Geode, but it has been in my brain for so long. Thank you.
hello and welcome to Name That Ship, everyone's favorite segment where we find fan fiction on Archive of Our Own, or it's sent to us, and we try to have our co-host guess what ship it is involved based on the other information available. This is no hate to anybody. This is to celebrate the medium, so please don't harass anybody. Please don't think we're trying to, cringe compilation. We are trying to appreciate the medium and appreciate the fact that there are so many Star Wars characters that you just gotta roll the dice and see who gets paired with who.
To quote Grand Admiral Thrawn, I forgot not everyone can appreciate art as I do.
What can I tell you about this fic? This fic was sent in by Mackenzie. I had other fics saved, but this one made me audibly yell. There's only one relationship, and only just those two characters. And the tags are sharing a bed, accidental cuddling.
We've all been there.
No, wait, hold on. Accidental cuddling, micro penis, ficlet. Sorry, guys. Don't expect a multi-chapter out of this one. I know you're all crushed, but I'm just so burnt out from writing so much sexy insert name of this cursed ship here. Part of a series of character B fucks. This fic is called Sharing the Night Together. And the summary is just character B wakes up and finds himself in an uncomfortable position.
Okay, so these are both men, right?
They are both men.
Is this sequels era? Is it prequels?
Oh boy.
Is it from different ones?
One of the characters is from the Empire era, and the other character is from both the Clone Wars and
Have
Empire
horrible
era.
news.
Have you already seen this, Vic?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
I absolutely, and I know, you know what was my red flag when you said this character fucks. I was like, there's two fics that are funny characters that I know of that are under that, and I knew exactly which one you were talking about.
Damn it!
I hate this. I hate this so much.
Wait, I don't know what it is. Though, so.
Were they in Rebels?
Is one of them Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No.
Was one of them in Rebels?
Both of them have appeared in Rebels.
Is one of them Saw Gerrera?
No!
It's one of
Okay,
them-
I was about to be like, my favorite prequels character Saw Gerrera, and then I was like, oh, he wasn't Clone Wars, never mind. I'm the asshole.
Is one of them Tarkin?
No.
I was gonna say Chewbacca, but
No.
Is one of them Krennic?
No,
no, because he
getting
wasn't
closer.
in Rebels. Thrawn?
Yes, well, Thrawn is one of them.
Is Thrawn the one with the micro penis?
It'll be clear. That gives too much away.
So Tarkin is not the one that fucks.
No, it's
Normally
it's,
fucks.
It's Thrawn and
Thrawn?
a person who fucks.
Fucks.
And is
Zeb.
so-
This other person is the one that's been in Clone Wars and the original trilogy, right?
Yes.
And they're a man?
Yes, you can ask some clarifying questions.
Are they part of the Empire?
No.
Are they part of
are
the
they a
rebellion?
Jedi?
He is a Jedi.
Is it Yoda?
Yes, it is!
No!
Throda?
Yoda?
Yeah,
Wait, does
I know
Yoda
you're-
have a micro?
Listen,
know-
I this is spoiler for the higher public, but Yoda is, I believe, packing.
Not micro penis Thrawn. I know
You
you're.
confused me because Yoda's been in all three trilogies, technically.
Oh,
And
yeah,
in
I
the higher
guess.
public.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about the concept of Yoda hooking up with fucking
Hold on.
Thrawn.
There's more than one. Let me give you.
I don't want to hear it.
I know you're all-
Fanfic.
I know you're all crushed, but I'm so burnt out from writing so much sexy Throda.
I'm getting a lot of Nancy Reagan vibes from Yoda all of a sudden.
Throat goat Yoda.
So now it is my turn. I want to preface this by saying there are no ships in this fic. There are a collection of characters that are divided into character A and character B, and then character C and character A. So those are the two. They're not really pairings. They're just sort of like hanging out together. The other the other tags are character C, character A, character B, bounty hunters babysitting, sneaking off, accidental babysitting, crossover, one shot, humor, fluff and humor, family reunions, dissociative identity disorder.
Whoa.
What?
So it's a crossover with something?
It is a crossover with something, yes.
Is this Moon Knight and Dinjarin?
It is Moon Knight and someone.
The way that you got that one before.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Moon Knight and then 2 Star Wars characters, or is it?
It is 2 separate Star Wars characters, yes.
Okay.
Are any of them Jedi?
No.
Are any of them Mandalorians?
Yeah. Yes.
Boba Fett.
One of them is Boba Fett.
Fennec Shand.
No.
Cobb Vanth.
Is it a man or
It is
a
not
woman?
Cobb Vanth. It is a man.
Same
Also,
era?
so this is not shipped with Boba. Boba Fett. He is
Boba
the
is
ones
a
he's
child in this
babysitting.
fic. Yeah.
Boba Fett's who he's babysitting.
Django?
Yeah. It is Django. So
Django.
basically-
Okay, Django Fett / Mark Spector. Okay.
So basically the premise of this fic, it is 3 parts. And it's kind of like my Joker because basically Mark Spector is just in Star Wars and Boba runs away from Django at some point and Mark is like, hey, I think you lost this, and returns him to Django. And Django's like, okay, do you want any money? And he's like, no, this is your kid. I don't really want to like come between that. But then after Attack of the Clones, Boba's like, wow, I need a new dad. So he goes to a bar and finds Mark Spector, who then becomes his father.
Okay, this is spoilers for the Moon Knight show. I love this. I'm obsessed with it. I do like the idea of Boba living to the prequels and meeting Poe Dameron and being like,
I think you mean the sequels.
that's what I meant. Yeah, the sequels. He meets Poe Dameron. He's like, dang, you look so familiar.
I feel like
dude."
I've seen you somewhere.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for RuPaul's Pod Race. Our episodes usually drop on Sundays. Thanks for bearing with us last week. For updates, Star Wars news, more cursed shit, follow us on social media at RuPaul's Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our Ask Box on TikTok is also open again, so you can send us little questions. Maybe we'll answer them on TikTok. And if you really love the show, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or Overcast. It means a lot and it helps us very much. May the Force be with you. And this episode was called The Gathering Storm, so ride the storm, bestie.
Waka waka, I guess.
Waka waka.
You know what? And
Waka
don't criff it
waka.
up.
Yeah.
Wow, no High Republic? Okay.